17 minutes past 7 now. The 2017 Grenfell Tower fire exposed the dangers of flammable cladding, leading to efforts to make many other buildings safe.
But delays have seen costs for flat owners rocket, including increased insurance, increased service charges, as well as bills for fire alarms and, in some cases, round-the-clock fire wardens.
Later today, MPs will debate a Labour motion calling for residents to be protected from rising prices. Let's speak to Hayley Tillotson, who purchased a property with cladding. Matt Hodges-Long, an expert on building safety. Morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And Hayley, just take us a bit through your story, because you bought a flat and things sort of went wrong quite quickly, didn't they? Tell us what happened.
Yeah, that's right. Honestly, it was just a matter of months, really. I bought the flat and it was completely safe at the time that I bought it, but then the government redefined the building regulations and suddenly it wasn't. So, like you've just mentioned, we got a letter just from West Yorkshire Fire Service telling us that it's not safe, and we were told actually that if we didn't get a waking watch, we'd have to leave the building. We'd have to all be evacuated and leave.
And for those who don't know, a waking watch is what exactly?
It's some men in high-vis vests with like a megaphone or a foghorn. And the idea is that they walk up and down every floor and do regular checks just to see if they can spot a fire, presumably. There's questions about whether they are doing the job worth it, because my building had a huge top-of-the-range fire alarm with heat detectors, smoke detectors. We'd have known in seconds, but apparently the government thinks we also need a man with 2 ears, 2 eyes and a mouth, and here I am.
Hey, I think it'd be really helpful for our viewers if you could give us an idea of financially, maybe you could tell us what you were paying beforehand and what sort of extra costs have been added in.
Yeah, it's so I bought it on an affordable housing scheme. I sat down with my mortgage advisor and he budgeted for me. This is how much your service charge is, this is your ground rent, etc., etc. And then you had to suddenly get Waking Watch, a completely new, invented, unforeseen cost every single month for hundreds of pounds. And obviously the service charge went up, the building insurance went up. I found myself on an affordable housing scheme and I couldn't afford to live in my home. Also, because it's a scheme, there's some strict rules, which means I'm not allowed to sublet, I can't rent it out, I can't stick it on Airbnb, and also I can't sell to a cash buyer, I can't sell at auction. It has to be sold to somebody like me on an affordable housing scheme, so basically someone who couldn't afford it either.
Hey, we'll come back to you in a second. Matt Hodges-Long, you're from the Building Safety Register. So how many, do we actually have a handle at this point? How many people or buildings are affected by these kind of safety problems?
There's wild sort of different numbers out there in the market. The reality is the numbers haven't actually been gathered yet, but we think it's somewhere in the region of about 3 million people that could be impacted by one or other of the elements of what we call the building safety crisis.
And what is being done to help people like Hayley, for example? What can people do who are living in buildings like this?
Really, it's very difficult because as a leaseholder, you've got very few rights. You're very much dependent on the management of the building and then their dealings with the government in terms of trying to sort this problem out. So really, the main thing that leaseholders can do is do as Hayley's doing, which is a heartbreaking story, but tell their story and try and gather as much information as they can and really sort of agitate within their building to get these problems understood and fixed.
The problem is, though, isn't it? You look at the position Hayley has been put in. The money that she was paying out per month has more than doubled. There's been all these extra costs as well, and she's had to declare herself bankrupt. And yet, it seems that there's sort of weeks and months and potentially years ahead to try and get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's a really drawn-out issue, and I think what we've got to do is work out the way, or the government have got to work out the way to actually understand the problem with each building, so risk assess it, and then find a way of actually living with that problem in a safe way. So sort of defining what a safe building is, and then what needs to be done to each of those buildings to make them safe enough while we can get through to a long-term solution. That sort of piece is missing at the moment, so a lot of people are stuck in limbo like Hayley was, with ridiculous waking watch charges and insurance costs.
Hayley, as you know, it's quite clear that you're not alone in all of this. So how badly has this affected, I suppose, your future financial security as well?
Oh, I have no idea what my future is going to look like now. No, not many estate agents are falling over themselves to rent somewhere to someone who's bankrupt or recently bankrupt. I think, even though I know why I've gone bankrupt, I'll still have to justify myself for the years and years. I'll still have to struggle to probably get a loan on anything ever again. And actually the mental health impact, I don't want to frighten my family who are probably watching it, but listen, it's broken me. I'm just a shell of my former self, and I don't know if I'll ever really get over it, to be honest. It's just really scary.
Hayley, my thoughts are with you. Thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you. And I'm sure, as you say, your family are watching, so please go and talk to them when you can. Hayley Tillotson, thank you very much. And Matt Hodges-Long as well. Both, thank you.
The government has actually said to us that it's earmarked £1.6 billion of funding to see homes made safer. And they also say they are making good progress on improving unsafe homes.